Greetings, my dear friends, parents, students at Richmond Junior Chess Club or anywhere else really. But I've promised the student and his dad, I promised Ed that actually I'm going to do a personalized analysis of the game he played like 3 days ago versus another student of ours, Marcus. So Ed is white, Marcus is black. We're going to look into a game. It's a London system Indian game, so we're gonna go now straight into stuff. D4 knight f6. If there's any other parents that would like to game analyzed of their kids, please guys just drop me a message. Tell me if you want that, and I'll just do it. So bishop f4, good stuff about it, but I suspect pretty much all of us know this. The good stuff about getting the bishop to f4 is that once you play the e3, you no longer having the bishop trapped in. You don't shut off your guy. So first you develop, and then you're gonna push e3, just broadly being mentioned. Of course, there is a little bit of a weakness on b2, but it's not the end of the world. Normally, after c6, c5, queen might be coming out and attacking you. But let's just get step by step. So e6 now being played, bishop's free to go, e3, exactly as we discussed, and d5 claiming the center. All nice, all cool, knight to d2. So that's a common setup here. Of course, you could drop on g3. There's nothing wrong with this. And if ever black decides to capture, you may want to consider taking back with the h-pawn because you're opening up the h file for the rook. Or you could just play, I think Magnus also played in this position knight f3, and it's also a theoretical approach. You could go knight f3 if you don't like bishop g3, but it's absolutely fine with this one. I like this setup with bishop on g3. Bishop d3 now, developing, looking towards the opponent's king fortress here. Knight develops, okay, maybe c5 would have been a bit more ambitious and asking a question to white. What do you think if I'm going to go c5 and c4? So maybe c5 was from Marcus's point of view, maybe c5 was a bit more aggressive. Okay, it's not the end of the world with this. Yeah. Maybe he wants to play again the knight and go to b4. I'm not sure. Anyway, we try to stick with the idea. Don't move twice the same piece in the opening. Just make sure you develop all of your pieces. Now, c3, I think it was chosen by Ed simply to stopping any attempts of frustrating this bishop. I guess he wants to maintain the bishop on this diagonal, which is in the spirit of the London system anyway. So knight e7 now, moving twice probably. Yeah, as we will see, the bishop will be playing on g6. Frankly, I don't see where's the future for that knight. Did I say bishop? Okay. I don't see the future for that knight because you can't go anywhere. So knight f3 developing, getting ready maybe to castle short. Knight g6 again. I'm not sure where you're gonna go with that guy, unless you want to support at some point some rook e8 and just try see if you can push this one in principle. We'll see about that one. Now, one little detail. Bishop d3 took on g6 is the kind of trade I'm completely unconvinced, because I think I said at this idea, we did a little bit over the board, the analysis, but I want to remind him that bishop d3 is an active bishop. And you just take a black knight that doesn't do nothing and it won't go anywhere anytime soon. So really, I'm not sure what's the bishop doing to take. I mean, you don't have a sufficient reason, Ed, to take on g6. This guy doesn't do nothing. So don't trade the active pieces, my friend. Don't trade your active pieces for idle pieces. So that's not necessary. I love that bishop so much. I would never take that knight. Not in this position. Taking with h probably would have been a little bit better, because if you decide to take with f, I don't understand he wants to take with there because he wants to open up the f file for the rook, but it creates a little bit of a backward weak pawn here, which you might be attracted to just attack it at some point. Yeah, black also has the bishop here, but this bishop, I'm talking about the bishop on c8, black still needs to engineer some way to get him out. Probably b6, a5, bishop a6, you never know. So you got to keep this in mind. Anyway, again, not necessary. Personally, I would say just get that queen somehow in the game. Just oopsie. Just get a queen in the game. A castle. You have to castle. I guess, and queen e2, queen c2 would be absolutely fine. Bishop e5, I don't see why. What's the big deal with bishop e5? Maybe knight. Just go with a knight. Let them take if they want. Then you're going to take back. Yeah, nah, not necessary. Now the knight goes to g4. That makes sense. Actually wants to capture, wants to capture on e5 and giving white some double pawns. So now they removed, takes, and bishop moves now to c5. Also e7, not a bad idea, but c5 it's okay. I think it's fine. Not a problem. Knight goes to d4. He wants probably to get the other knight to play onto f3, be ready to replacing if necessary. Although, if black were to take, which I don't think is necessary, you may just very well consider rather taking with a pawn than with a knight, because you're going to have a natural supporter for this pawn, whilst this one remains a backward weak pawn. Right, now he plays a bit more aggressive here, Marcus, and of course I can understand that he actually goes for two, let's say, weaknesses. He goes for this guy, and he goes for this guy. Now, I think he rushed it here. So, Ed, this is the critical moment, I would say. The first critical moment in the game that you played against Marcus. And so, you having, at the minute now, 21 minutes. And after like 1 minute, you decided to play g3, which is big time weakening the king side. And you're already gonna lose on e5. I guess you got scared about queen take g2. But if you maybe, if you just paused now, and rather than playing in a minute, you would have given it like maybe 5 minutes or more. There is something funny about this position. You could go, Ed, you could go knight f3, defend the pawn, and hit the queen. And if you say, yeah, but the queen's going to take on g2, right? Well, the queen would be trapped because rook h2, and the game is over. So knight to f3 protects the pawn, attacks the queen. Ed, queen's got to go. I mean, I attacked the queen, right? You'll go back, thank you very much. I developed the knight with tempo, hit the queen, protecting my pawn. If black queen takes, that's a blunder. I'm not sure Marcus would have played it. And now you don't do rook g. You do rook h, and queen is gone. Where does it go? I mean, like nowhere. So now black is just losing. So knight, Ed, knight df3. Perhaps you want to pause it. You want to think a bit more. You know, rather run out of time than to just blunder stuff. That's not a good stuff. That helps your opponent, Ed. That's exactly what happened here. So queen to e2 now. Try to probably make some space to castle the king long or something. He tries to get things in action. And black now connects his rooks, and probably he want to do something with that bishop at some point. Perhaps after getting rid of the knight. I mean, after black bishop takes the knight on d4, maybe. Anyway, knight to f3 now. Attacks the queen. But there is plenty of resources for white to play here. Knight is a little bit pinned. You better decide what to do about a king's safety, because things are going to get very, very, very complicated and not very positive for white. Black is boasting the bishop pair. Knight is pinned on f3. You better go for the king's safety and just castle. It's not that much of a favorable position for white, Ed, but anyway, you decided long castle. It's playable. Okay, black is better. Bishop pair. And you got too many breaches here. Took and knight takes. And c5, nicely hitting the knight. You got to move the knight. You can't go with the knight on f3, because if you go on f3 here, obviously rook and queen, they're going to be taking your stuff. Now, you found a little interesting resource with f3, Ed. And it's kind of cool, but still, you suffering in this position. White is suffering big time because you missed that knight d2 to f3 like a couple of moves ago. So now that's what is. And black simply aims more weaknesses. g3 is a weakness. This guy is a weakness. This guy is a weakness. So yeah, there's a problem. And the knight is under attack. We'll say you hit again. Queen goes back. How are you going to hit the queen now? I don't know. But for the time being, you can shield your knight and dance around a little bit if needed. So knight f3, probably Ed here wanted to get the knight redeployed. I'm not sure where. Probably in the center is the best for the knight to be for the time being. Now, Marcus missed a little tactic here. I assume he played a6 mainly because he wanted to hit the queen. Probably if he didn't rush, because also I noticed in 3 seconds, Marcus, you played the move. In 3 seconds. You could play bishop b5 actually straight away, hitting the queen, whilst the knight on f3 is still under pressure. Because if white queen takes, black queen takes the knight. And again, attacking e3, attacking g3, too many weaknesses. So black is just doing very well. Congrats, Marcus. But a6 may be a little bit slow-ish. You're still doing better than white here, but that one would have been a more direct way to be attacking. So knight g5, okay, hitting the queen, and bishop now b5. Again, black's doing better. It doesn't matter. And it's just not okay because now you got 2 pieces on prey. Knight and the rook. So this is just bad. It's bad now. I don't have good moves for white. I simply do not have good moves for white. There's no good move for white. I'm sorry. That's already compromised. Too many weaknesses. This, e3. Let me put some red paint. e3, g3. And yeah, that's it. It's gone. Probably I would have just resigned here. Yeah, so now bishop still hits this guy and this guy. So now you're going to drop material. Game over. We're going to pause it now here, Ed, because, okay, 2 rooks versus rook and knight in this position here. Black is just simply winning. They just need to make sure that this guy, which is the only little weakness, so to speak, will be protected with the rook. But then, hey, you could just kick the knight away, I guess. And knight's going to go back on f3. And you're doing way, way, way better than your opponent. Okie dokie. Thanks for watching this one. Ed, I hope it's helping a little bit. And Marcus. And dear parents, if you would like to having your games maybe analyzed in the future, you know, drop me a few comments, your feedback, and let me know. Cheers, guys, and see you Saturday. Not this coming Saturday, fellas. I think, hold a second, let me just check the calendar. So, in this coming Saturday, because now is 29th of October. So, on the 2nd November, no, but 9th of November, guys, I'm going to be seeing you. And cool stuff. Thank you. See you very soon, my dear friends.